Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for week 31 Premier League fixtures, man. And I know the international break is still happening, but thank God it's coming to an end because I just want to watch the best league in the world with the best teams like Manchester City and Liverpool competing for the Premier League. However, it does feel like the international break has been long-winded. It has been going on forever. So let's see which teams are fully rested and we'll use this to their advantage. And let's see which teams will feel a little bit jaded. And going into these set of games, I think we got some amazing games happening. We have Liverpool versus Watford, and we know Liverpool are gunning, chasing down Manchester City for the Premier League title race. And then we have Watford fighting for the Premier League lives. Obviously, the same thing is happening between Burnley and Manchester City. On one hand, we've got Burnley looking to snatch all 3 points against Manchester City when we know they have not been able to beat them in the last 14 fixtures or so, man. It feels like forever. But we have Manchester City looking to retain their grip on the Premier League this season as well. We also got West Ham versus Everton. Let's see if Everton can actually get points because we know they've been struggling to do this under Frank Lampard. And like I always say, let's hope for goals, thrills, drama and entertainment, man. Let's just hope for a great weekend of football. But before I go into these sort of fixtures and give my predictions, you know what I'm going to say. Make sure you guys like, comment and hit that big subscribe button right there because I'm only 60-70 subscribers away from 1k, so please help me with my journey to reach that number. And only 10% of you guys are actually subscribed to my channel, so please, if you guys enjoy my content, please, it will help the channel grow. So the first game I'm going to be giving my predictions is Burnley versus Manchester City, and like I said in my introduction, these 3 points are so valuable for both teams. Manchester City looking to retain the Premier League this season, and we got Burnley looking to climb out of the relegation zone, the relegation struggle against other teams like Everton and Watford. And going into this game, I feel like Manchester City are going to be so happy, over the moon that they're versing Burnley because like I said in my introduction, they have had their way with Burnley, home and away. Home they always win 5-0, and away they've been winning anyway, winning 13 of the last 14 games or so. It has been an absolute ridiculous record for Manchester City, and we know lately they've been struggling to pick up wins consistently, drawing to Crystal Palace away 0-0, losing to Tottenham at the Etihad, even drawing away to Southampton, so they haven't been in the best of form. So what better team to literally build momentum against than Burnley, who we know are 19th or 18th in the Premier League table so far, haven't won in the last 3 or 4 games or so, looking short in terms of their confidence. Manchester City must be absolutely thrilled having this game against Burnley. And as you can see with the way I'm talking, I can't see Burnley winning this game at all. We know how they bring physical toughness, literally try to make it as uncomfortable for Manchester City as possible, playing on the floor with their tiki-taka, free rhythm, free-flowing football. We know Burnley have tried to implement this style of football, but it just has not worked. Manchester City's offensive style of football has tired and worn Burnley out, pulled them out of positions, which has given Manchester City so much joy to get goals. And all they need is the first goal, because when the first goal goes in, Burnley are going to have to come out their shape in that 4-4-2 structure, and when they do, Manchester City are going to have gaping holes to take advantage of a very poor Burnley side. So going in this game, Manchester City are the obvious favourites, the undisputed favourites, and they just have the players, the quality, obviously the manager, and history backing them coming into this game to beat Burnley. I can't really see Burnley having much luck in this game of actually beating Manchester City. There is a set formula to beating them, seeing Crystal Palace implement the style counter-attacking, fast-paced, transition the ball smoothly into the final third. We saw Manchester United have so much joy last season doing that. We have even seen Son and Kane literally throw that sucker punch, that deadly combo against Manchester City at the Etihad. But we know Burnley do not have quality players in terms of this with Son and Kane, and we know that players like Weghorst do not have the pace to go in behind to take advantage of Manchester City's ridiculous high line, especially since they don't have the best defender, Ruben Diaz, because he's been injured for a month or so. So going into this game, tactically, player-wise, Burnley just do not have anything going their way in terms of beating Manchester City. So going into this game, I'm going to be predicting a high-scoring game, but only one team scoring these goals. That's the away win for Manchester City, 4-0 against Burnley. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Liverpool versus Watford. And very, very similar to the game with Burnley and Manchester City, I feel like tactically it's going to be exactly the same. We know Roy Hodgson likes to play a defensive style of football, resilient, make sure it's compact, a 4-5-1, make sure there's not that many holes for Liverpool to have their free-flowing players to drop into spaces to pick up the ball, so they'll be able to thread that pass through an eye of a needle for their front forwards. I feel Watford will try their best to limit this, but at the end of the day, we know Watford are not very good defensively. In their last 3 games, they've conceded 8 goals, and yes, they've improved so much under Roy Hodgson, but we have to look at how they've improved, where they have improved from, how bad they were before. Before Ray Hudson, they were unable to keep one clean sheet under Ranieri and the manager before. So obviously, if you're conceding 8 goals in your last 3 games, that looks like a massive improvement compared to before, especially since Ray Hudson has been able to keep 1 or 2 clean sheets. But let's be honest, Leopards do not change their spots, especially overnight, especially against Liverpool, who have the confidence going into this game, have been on a mad win streak if you want to remove the game against Inter Milan, which had no bearing on the Champions League fixture anyway. So going in this game, Liverpool have the confidence, they have the belief that they'll be able to battle Watford, especially since they did it in their last game, winning 5-0 away from home at Vicarage Road. So why can't Liverpool do this when they have their fan base cheering them on at home? They also have the offensive talent with more versatility going forward, with players like Diaz joining in January, and we know Salah loves scoring against Watford. We know Firmino scored a hat-trick in his last game against Watford. So Liverpool players going forward, they're going to be hungry for goals, and they're going to be determined to ink their name onto the score sheet against Watford. So going in this game, I know Watford will be able, maybe potentially, to keep Liverpool at bay for maybe 50 to 60 minutes, because that has happened to Liverpool so far this season against Nottingham Forest, against Inter Milan, like we've seen. But at the end of the day, Liverpool know how to grind out a result, even if it comes to the 60th, 70th minute. It's just so hard for me to believe that Watford will be able to keep a clean sheet in this game when we know Liverpool going forward are relentless, they're ruthless, and they're very consistent in front of goal. So going in this game, I'm going to be predicting a modest victory for my team, which I support, a 3-0 home victory. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Chelsea versus Brentford. And I know people aren't very excited about this, but come on, it's a London derby, and we know London derbies give us thrills, entertainment, and joy to watch. And I'm telling you guys, if you watch the last time these two teams competed, when Brentford versus Chelsea in their home stadium, honestly, it was one of the best games I've watched, even though it was 1-0. If you saw Mendy's performance across the 90 minutes, that was probably his best performance as a Chelsea player, except the game in the Carabao Cup final against Liverpool. He has had, the way he was saving every single shot that came into his path was beautiful to watch. But I know Chelsea will not be hoping for some sort of performance like this from Mendy, because they're going to be wanting to put the game to bed early. So obviously, since they have the FA Cup fixtures coming up and the Champions League tie. However, going into this game, Chelsea cannot underestimate Brentford for obvious reasons. Since the last time they faced, we know Brentford rise up to their competition teams against Chelsea, Liverpool, even Manchester City. They give us tough games because they know that this is a great opportunity to showcase your talent against one of the best teams in England. And also, the introduction of Eriksen has been sublime. His performances, he has increased the quality and intensity levels of the squad, because they've been wanting to prove themselves that they belong on the same pitch as one of the best midfielders, or former best midfielders in the world, Christian Eriksen. And the way him and Ivan Toney have been working together as a duo, their partnership lately, this has been increasing Ivan Toney's chance rate in front of goal, which shows since he's been scoring many goals in his last few games or so, with Eriksen creating chances. I know some of them have been penalties and so, but still, Ivan Toney hasn't been left isolated up front. However, that's where I feel like it's limited. I know Brentford are a very physical side, and against any team, if they use their physicality and their strength and their toughness, especially in the midfield battle, they can dominate games. However, at the end of the day, I cannot go against Chelsea, because Ivan Toney is just going to be left isolated against 3 world-class centre-backs. Maybe not the one on the right centre-back, but we know players like Thiago Silva has the composure and the strength, just like Rudiger, who literally flies into any challenge but wins the ball 80% of the time, it feels like. So I just feel like those two will get the better of an isolated Ivan Toney, when we know Brentford prefer to play like a 4-5-1, a 5-4-1 structure, which just leaves him up front by himself. Going into this game, I just feel like Chelsea are efficient, and I know the dark cloud has been above them during the last few months or so, with the drama of the club being sold and maybe Tuchel leaving to go to a more stable club. But the way they've reacted as a team, that right there is proof in the pudding of European champions. The way Tuchel has been guiding the club through this gloom, the way the top players have been stepping up, not letting it faze them, beating Lille, winning their last Premier League game as well. Chelsea have been class throughout, and going in this game, the way Havertz has been dropping into pockets of space, showing that he should be the number one pivotal number 9 in that side, even though he plays as a false 9, with players like Captain America, Pulisic, played a lot better with that great finish in his last game. Mount obviously returning back into form as well. I think Chelsea will just have enough in this game to scrape through a Brentford side, because I know Chelsea are the superior side, but if we've seen so many times this season, Chelsea do not run away from teams. They don't beat them by 4 or 5-0 because they don't have that clinical striker, especially since Lukaku has been dropped on the bench. So I still feel like it'll be close, but Chelsea will dominate the majority of the game, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the home side. So the next game we're going to be predicting is Manchester United versus Leicester. And if you ask both sets of fans how their season have been going so far, they'll be looking at you like this. I just want this season to end. Like Leicester last season, the way they were able to cruise to a 5th place position when you had some fans thinking they should have finished 4th. Then we have Manchester United finishing 2nd last season, even under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who we know wasn't one of the best managers. But if you gave both set of fans that finishing position right now, they will snatch that place off your hands in a heartbeat, because we have Leicester City cruising to a mid-table finish, whereas Man United could potentially not even play in Europe next season, unless you want to count the Conference League as Europe. That's up to you. But going into this game, let me start with the home side, Manchester United, and it's the same old problems we keep seeing from that side. No identity, not playing as a team, not playing as a unit, never having a great performance as a team, never that. It's always individual moments, individual brilliance, individual world-class players performing at their best, but it's never the team being cohesive enough to ensure that they can be great across 90 minutes. If you saw the last game in the Premier League against Tottenham, yes, Ronaldo had an amazing game, scoring 3 goals, but Manchester United needed all 3 goals because except for him and Fred, they were terrible. Every single other player on the pitch were not good at all. Defence looked shambles. Tottenham could have scored a lot more goals. And even going forward, it was Cristiano Ronaldo with his long shot. It was Cristiano Ronaldo with his great header. There was never another player in that team creating chances or being great on the ball. I know they're versing Leicester, who haven't been consistent themselves, but if Manchester United aren't consistent, obviously they could lose this game. They could lose to anyone, especially at Old Trafford, where we know they've been losing very important games, like their last game against Atletico Madrid, against Liverpool 5-0, and even against Manchester City 2-0. So is it really the theatre of dreams when it's really turned to the theatre of nightmares? Even under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they've been unable to make the stadium a fortress. So going into this game, man, how do Manchester United players have the confidence when they have the ghost of Old Trafford hanging above them right now, especially with those fans who have not been pleased and will get on your back if you're not playing well in the first 20 or 30 minutes or so. However, they are versus Leicester City, and Manchester United might be fortunate. It will be interesting to see if Jamie Vardy will be fit enough to play in this game, since we know he's been injured for a while. Harvey Barnes has been playing decent on that left-hand side with his trickery, the way he cuts in and gets goals, curves it into the right-hand corner, and even Dawsbury Hill, the way he transitioned the ball, he has an eye for a pass as well. But apart from that, Leicester City do not really feel frightening going forward. Yes, they beat Brentford 2-1, but it just feels like Brentford can't beat any team away from home, so that's nothing to gloat about. But going into this game, both teams lacking real confidence. Both teams aren't really playing as a team, free-flowing football going forward. And both teams, let's be honest, aren't that good. So going into this game, could be biased, but I think it's going to be an upset. I think Leicester are going to smash and grab, get the victory in this game. And I'm going to be predicting a 2-1 victory. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. And yes, I'm going to be excited for this game. Another London derby up for display. I think this game is going to be very good. A very underrated game we're going to be able to see. And things have changed a lot since the last time we saw these two teams play, which ended in a 2-2 epic thriller at the Emirates Stadium. We had Arsenal fans literally calling for Arteta's head, saying he's not the right manager, looking with envy across to the Crystal Palace fans because it feels like they had the right appointment with Patrick Vieira playing a more attacking style of football, which makes sense, which is understandable, whereas Arteta, we do not know his ideas or what he's trying to do in terms of his style of play. But going into this game against Crystal Palace, things have changed a lot. Arsenal have been building momentum, especially since December, and now winning 4 of their last 5 games. They've been playing amazing football, especially the young stars of Saka and Odegaard, free-flowing football, really understanding each other's game, know when to drop deep, know when to run in behind. These guys are high energy, young, hungry, energetic players who have been performing excellent. But going in this game against Crystal Palace, Arsenal are not going to have it their own way. And Arsenal fans should know that, because in their last 4 or 5 games against Crystal Palace, they have drawn every single one. So Crystal Palace are a very tough opposition for Arsenal, very tough outfit, and know how to play against Arsenal to ensure that they can get a result. And it's not like Arteta is the only London manager who's been enduring success recently. Even Vieira, undefeated in his last 4 games, guiding Crystal Palace to a semi-finals of a FA Cup, battering Everton 4-0. They have their own young players like Elise and Gallagher leading from the front, transitioning the ball with pace and speed and intensity to really frighten the opposition. And then you got your star player Zaha, a loyal servant who we know can do real damage on the left-hand side. So going into this game, Arsenal should feel worried that Crystal Palace can throw their own punches, because they have the talent, they have the weapons as well to really hurt Arsenal on the break. But going into this game, I know I'm going to be trusting the youngsters of Arsenal, and I really think they will pull it off. I think they're going to win 2-1, because there is a thing called playing for an objective, and we know Crystal Palace are guiding themselves to a mid-table finish, aren't really playing for much this season. But we know Arsenal are really building momentum, trying to ensure that they can finish in the top 4 this season, and playing for the objectives is going to give them that extra 10 to 15% of trying hard, energy, spirit to ensure that they can get a victory and scrape a victory away from home. I think they're going to be able to win 2-1 into this game,